With COVID-19 cases spiking across the U.S., health professionals are now warning of a second wave of mental health issues amid the pandemic. Now, this can bring further challenges down the road, such as increased deaths from suicides and even drug overdoses. Joining me now with ways that we can manage our mental health during these trying times is psychotherapist Josh Jonas. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I want to begin with this idea of the second wave of mental health concerns. Is it imminent?
Is it imminent? It's such a good question. You know, I tend to like to be a little bit more optimistic, so I don't want to, live in fear and think that there's a kind of doomsday coming. But you know, look, we all struggle, and one of the things that I'm seeing during this is that people who are struggling now are definitely struggling sort of in what I call on brand, meaning that if you've suffered with depression in the past, there's a good chance you'll be suffering with it now, and maybe even more. If you've suffered from addictions and eating disorders in the past, you'll be suffering with it perhaps now and even more. So I don't want to say it's imminent, but it absolutely is a very sort of fertile soil right now for more mental health problems. Absolutely.
And when we talk about what you're seeing in your experience, what really is the trigger of this? Is it indeed the fact that we are so isolated from everybody else?
It's again, such a good question. I think the isolation is a huge part of it. I think we are born biologically needing to connect. We're social animals, and so the disconnect that we're feeling right now definitely can lead to feelings of despair and sadness, and also the kind of uncertainty. I mean, the brain very much gravitates to what we know, what makes us feel safe, and there's such a degree of uncertainty right now that, again, it's going to cause a lot of anxiety and even panic in a lot of people.
When we talk about recognizing signs, because a lot of people, at least in my experience that I've talked to, they're like, gosh, I just feel so tired all the time. I don't know, I just don't feel as motivated. And they're having feelings that they really weren't in touch with before. So when it comes to recognizing that perhaps you might be experiencing what could be depression or anxiety or something like that, what's a way to be able to see those red flags? And also, I know that you have some tips as far as finding help and what those next steps should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really interesting what you're talking about, because one of the things that I've been saying to a lot of my patients during this time is that it's really limited the possibilities of the things that we're able to do. And so really during this time, we're really either only able to kind of act out, go numb, or go deep. And so if you're finding yourself acting out and going numb, those are, as you were saying, red flags that might let us know that there's something else going on. And then what I like to try to do with the patients that I work with is to try to help them go deep. And so in terms of tips, I always think it's important to have to-dos. The first thing that I would say is surrender. And when I use this word, people tend to have a reaction sometimes because they think it means to give up or lose hope, and that's not it at all. Surrendering can be a very empowering act. It's actually it's a bodily act where we accept the present moment as is. We don't realize how much of the time during the course of a day, whether we get bad news, whether we are regretting something from our past or dreading something in the future, we don't realize how much of the time we're fighting the present moment, and just surrendering into the present moment, allowing it to be as is, can be very empowering. If you're not able to do that, if you're finding yourself struggling with that, that means that there's probably something going on that feels painful. And so the next thing I wanted to say is that if so much of the time when there's pain going on, and we're seeing a lot of people experiencing pain, it's not always the pain that's so painful as much as it's the belief or the fear that this pain is going to go on forever. People who experience trauma in childhood, this is going to be extra difficult because trauma in childhood makes time and space kind of go away. So the more during this time that we can allow ourselves to know that there is an end point to this, we don't know when, but there is an end point. And so allowing ourselves to know that this is not pain that's going to go on forever can be very helpful.
Yeah, and I know that you have a lot more tips, including how to stay connected, how to use your body, and when to seek help and see a therapist. How can people be in touch with you?
So if you want to be in touch with me, you can reach out to me or the other therapists at the Village Institute. It's villageinstitute.com. We've got a lot of great therapists who do this work. As you were saying, staying connected is one of the most important things we can do during this time. And so you can do that through great inner deep work, which is what we try to do at the Village Institute.
So great to know that those resources are there. Josh Jonas, thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.